Why do you think we tolerate so much in any kind of relationship? Like I was just saying to someone this morning, and I said to her, I have a tendency to give people too much grace, as I need to give myself grace. But I'll give too much to where it's excuses. Oh, maybe I'm being too particular. Why do you think it is that so many of us women do this?
I think a lot of us are very compassionate. We're very empathetic. What I used to say, and I still sometimes say this for friendships, like, well, nobody's perfect, or she's going through a really hard time, or like you said, that's a beautiful quality. However, you need to be responsible for drawing the line in the sand when it crosses over into your piece. So boundaries are a great example. I have friends that will call me all day long if I allow them to. They're not relationships I necessarily want to end, but I've learned to just pull back. It's okay to not answer a text. It's okay to not answer a phone call. It's okay to say no, I don't feel like going. No is a complete sentence.
Let's just get real. If you're still accepting crumbs in your relationships, you're starving your soul. You tell yourself, it's not that bad. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I have like too high of expectations. You overthink every text, every silence, every excuse, just hoping they'll finally choose you, just hoping they'll finally care enough. But what if I told you you've been choosing them over yourself all along? In today's interview, I'm joined by the unapologetic voice of women's empowerment and best-selling author, Cara Alwill. And we are calling it out. The toxic cycles, the emotional breadcrumbs, the lies we tell ourselves to stay small and to avoid any life disruption. This is not a soft conversation. It's a wake-up call you didn't know you needed to break free from patterns that drain you and finally become the woman who refuses to settle for anything less than real, whole, honest love in your relationships. And if you're done being the almost girl and you're ready to choose you in every room you walk into, this is the episode that'll change everything for you. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. Now, I've got something for you today. I've been waiting for this damn book to come out for years. My friend, my incredible life coach, Cara Alwill, you know her from the Champagne Diet. She has written many, many books, and I have read all of her books, but this is a book of a different kind. This is a book that speaks to the depths, the messiness, the pain of relationships, and it's focused on like male female relationships, but as you'll hear in our discussion of all of this, it really also deeply relates even in female relationships as well. This is a book that I literally was like, I'll read 2 chapters in the bathtub, and then it was like near sunset, and then like I don't even know how much time went by. I went into a fucking vortex with your book. Like I don't even know what happened. I was like a complete prune. And you know what? I think I needed to be in the bath to read your book because like being in like water's so healing for me. And here I'm like in a vulnerable position, right? Obviously I'm naked. I'm in the bath. I'm alone. And it was like, it's a book that I think is meant to be read in a setting like that. It's so validating. First of all, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back. I'm so happy to be here. You have no idea.
Second of all, tell us first what took you so long? Because like a book process is not new to you. You have many best-selling books all over the world. And I remember like you were struggling writing the book. You were coming in and out of it. What do you think it was about this book that made it take you longer to get through it?
I built my entire career, including my writing career, on personal development. So for 13 years, I published books on how to live better, right? Whether it was your business, your confidence, your lifestyle, like everything that people know me for is a woman who has her shit together, who gives good advice, who, walks her walk, And I knew that this book was not going to be an advice book. I knew that this book was going to be just pure memoir storytelling, me sharing from the heart, really vulnerably about my relationships, which, really were a complete fucking dumpster fire, if I'm honest. Like post divorce, even my marriage was, as I share in the book, really over long before I left. And then the relationships that followed were such a shit show. And I knew I wanted to tell the stories, but I could not wrap my brain around how am I going to put this out there and not give somebody any inkling of advice? Like, how am I just going to tell this story and be like, okay, that's it, bye? Because I'm so like, that's just who I am. Like, I share.
Well,
So
I mean, I hired you to help
like,
me leave. That's what's
right.
so funny about this. And I'm her first interview on her book, Don't Do Anything I Would Do. It's in the show notes. You can get it on Amazon, but like to make it easy, you can swipe up, get it there, get it here on YouTube in the description. You have to get it and you have to give it to everybody. I don't care if someone's been married like 500 years. You're going to feel so validated by these stories. And what's so funny is I could see like being that, I'm a coach in a different space, but it'd be like if I did a left turn and I started coaching on like, well, I'm never going to coach on relationships. Let's be honest.
Me
Like,
neither. I'll talk about them all day, but I'm not going to tell anyone what to do.
I don't think that's a good idea. But I literally hired you because you shared your story with your ex-husband, which was eerily identical to the relationship I was in with Mike. And I couldn't leave on my own. I knew I couldn't do it. I needed help. I couldn't feel alone. No one was understanding it because it was like so different. And a lot of women, and I want to really commend you for this. You're always like a fucking pioneer for everything. Like it's your magic. Like you have the balls to go first. I do not. Okay. I have the balls to go like fifth.
No, you're downplaying yourself. I don't believe that, but
like it's just how I am. I'm a little more of a scaredy cat.
Well, you're a Virgo.
Yeah, we're careful.
So you need
calculated.
to have the checks. Yeah, you've got your checks and balances. I am Taurus, but I'm double Leo, like rising and moon. So I'm fucking crazy on fire. Like, let's just go and do the damn thing.
And I love that you shared this about your marriage. One, because I, for the first time, didn't feel so alone. And we're just going to touch on this because that's not really where we're going with the book. But give the listeners who aren't familiar with that part of your story of what was unique about that marriage. Because I think there's a lot of people in marriages or relationships like that, but no one talks about it because there's a lot of shame in it.
Yeah. I mean, I was married for 10 years. I was with my ex-husband for almost 11, and nothing was really, quote, wrong with the marriage according to the terms and conditions that you would think would require a divorce, right? I couldn't sit down at the table and be like, he cheated on me, or he beat the shit out of me, or he emotionally abused me. We just drifted apart. We were together a long time. We met at a point in both of our lives when we really needed each other, and we grew and we became best friends. But the intimacy left a long time before I left the marriage. And I was in denial for a little bit, and I thought it was a dry spell, and I thought things would shift and come back. But the truth was, we just morphed into a friendship. And we still very much love each other. And I have so much love and respect for him. But it took a lot of courage for me to say, hey, this is just not the passionate, authentic marriage that I want or relationship that I want. I probably started thinking about leaving 5 years before I actually left. And I was turning 40. It was January of 2020 because I've got impeccable fucking timing. Nobody knew COVID was coming, right? We might, maybe there were like rumblings of something, but we had no idea. But I was like, I'm turning 40 and this is going to be the best year of my life and this new decade. And it was New Year's Day. And I told him, I was like, I can't. So leaving that was really hard, but so worth it. Even with everything I went through after, which you can read about in the book, it was still so worth it because now I'm really happy and I've really grown and he's really happy and he's grown and he's in a new relationship that honors where he's at in his life. And it's all good.
It's so much harder, I think, and correct me if you don't agree, to leave the quote unquote nice guy or the guy who vacillates. Like he's nice, but he's toxic, but he's nice, but he's toxic. If a guy is like flat out just a dick, I can leave those types of people or female relationships, right? Someone's just like, it's very clear and obvious and that side's consistent. I feel I can leave. But when it
Yeah.
goes like through ebbs and flows, or someone is just consistently like nice and it's just not right, it's the hardest thing for me to leave.
It's so hard. I think a lot of us look for, even if we say we don't need the validation or affirmation of our friends or family, we still look for it. You know, we still kind of poll people, we ask them what we should do. And the truth is, we always know in our gut, but we still tend to look for that approval from friends and family. And it's very easy to get the approval to walk away when things are so blatantly horrible. But when you have, you know, your parent or your best friend being like, but he's a good guy and, you know, he helps you with this and, you know, he loves you so much. And that was all very true. It made it really hard because I really didn't have one person on my team who was like, yeah, fuck him, leave. Everyone's like, well, you know, I understand, but are you sure you really want to go back out there? Like, what's it going to look like in your 40s? And you've got a good thing. Like, don't let it go. And I had to really do it on my own with the feeling in my gut that it was the right choice.
I mean, that was really the first time when you look at like in your adult life, you chose you, which is
Yeah.
part of the theme of the book, right?
It was that. And it was also when I left my corporate job to pursue my business. Those were the two like canon moments, if you will. That's the big TikTok term, right? They're using now the canon
I'm
moments
very
in life.
impressed.
Those were the two moments. And I knew that when I left my job and started this career and went all in on my writing and coaching, I knew what was on the other side of the fear. And I had to have that same trust with my divorce.
So now we're in the pandemic. It's kind of cool. I get a different viewpoint than other people because, like, I was in all of this. I have like a direct, special view. So a lot of the stuff made me like laugh because I really can validate, like, you're off your fucking rocker.
Oh
Like,
my God. My best friend said to me, she goes, if I didn't know you, I would think this shit was fiction. I was like, no, it's stranger than fiction.
so you're in like pandemic times and you were dating in the pandemic, yes?
No, post pandemic.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I really kind of started on the apps and dating like 2021, 2022.
Okay. Yeah, because it's so funny because that's around when I started coaching with you. So you were helping my ass leave and your ass was getting ass.
I was getting a lot of ass. Crazy ass, but it was ass.
And when you look back now, because it's so easy to kind of like look back and see what was going on, what do you think was going on with some of these guys?
Oh my God, they were a mess. Like I was so attracted to anyone that was a hot mess. And I didn't even like in retrospect now I see it, but I had no idea. I thought they were cool. I thought they were sexy. I thought they were edgy. And I think maybe now, this is the first time I'm even connecting these dots. My ex-husband was so nice and kind and stable. And that sometimes when you're unhealed, if you will, can present as boring, right? So now I was like, I went on the other end of the spectrum and I was like, let's get the craziest motherfuckers up in here because I'm bored and I want to shake it up from addicts to alcoholics to narcissists. I mean, you fucking name it. I dated them. And that chaos I was equating with chemistry and I was equating chaos with passion and true love because what I had before felt so stable and calm. And even though it wasn't the right relationship anymore, it was very different than what I was searching for post divorce.
I mean, it's proven fact that you have chemicals released like oxytocin, which if there was a drug in a bottle, I would be addicted to, it'd be oxytocin. It's like, I call it the freshie high. And then if someone on top of it is like love bombing or manipulating.
Oh, I loved a love bomber. Sign me up because I couldn't imagine like, of course you're going to love bomb me. Like, how could you not be obsessed with me as soon as you meet me? This is so normal, right? And I took part in it. I reciprocated. So like me and my ex love bombed the shit out of each other. Like I was fully in that party.
Right. And I think that's what is so scary is your motives for doing it were sincere and grounded in
Yes.
genuine love. They weren't fueled by something else where it sounds like some of these other people, like the most recent ex being like the prime one, it was fueled in something else. What do you think fuels that for people to do that aside from someone being maybe like a narcissist, a pathological liar, like where they're diagnosed, but what agenda, what are they getting out of it?
You know, I think what I've learned is that a lot of people who have not dealt with their own stuff and who still struggle with a lot of insecurity really seek that validation from someone else. Like they need to know that someone is choosing them. They need multiple people are choosing them, right? They want as many people as they can to pick them, love them, give them something that fills this void that will never really be filled because the job is for them to fill that void on their own. So by love bombing, I mean, it's the quickest way to a woman's heart, really. I mean, like, because most women get flattered and you feel good. You don't even realize it's happening. I truly did not know I was being love bombed. I thought, well, this person's just really into me until I started hearing from other people he had dated and been with, and they all experienced the same love bombing. And I was like, oh, wow, he said that to you. He said that to me too. And it was all sort of like lining up.
We're taking a short pause from this interview to remind you that my spring applications are open just for a little bit longer for my exclusive 2-month private business coaching program. Now, I only take 4 private clients at a time, so this gets full really quickly. And if you are the kind of entrepreneur who is tired of seeing breadcrumb sales, you kind of feel like you've gotten stagnant in your business and you want to grow this damn thing to the level that you know it is meant to be, that you're destined for, so it matches the lifestyle that you want, this is your moment. This is your time. This is your move. Here's what makes this different from other programs that maybe have left you like overpromised and underwhelmed. We don't just strategize, we execute. So most of my clients start seeing cash flow within the first month. Your content won't just get likes, it'll start closing sales for you. One of my clients banked $43,000 recently off of a single email sequence we built together. Your offers, we tear them apart and rebuild them with psychological precision so they trigger emotional buying decisions from the people already lurking in your audience. And unlike other programs, you will work directly with me. No middlemen or women, no fluff, no admin assistant, just high level, high impact coaching with Tiffany Carter. One client told me I'd been burned by coaching programs before, but 3 weeks in, I made back my full investment with Tiffany. The emotional based sales techniques flipped everything for me. My content started converting, and I finally felt like I was speaking to the right people and from my heart. So if you've got the foundations in place, or even if you don't, you could be starting from scratch or you can be 10 years in, but things are not converting at the volume that you would like and the way that you would like. You know, you're leaving a lot of money and even people on the table that you could be helping. Then I need you to swipe up and apply. It's in the show notes. You can also look in the description here on YouTube on ProjectME TV. And I look forward to seeing if this is a great fit.
And then I realized, like, I don't really think it was me that he was in love with. I think he was in love with being in love. And I was just the person that was there.
Is it also like I'm in love with being in love because he enjoyed the love coming back to him for self-validation?
Oh, 100%. And one thing about me, and this is something I will never change, I am all in when I'm in a relationship. I love hard. I give everything and then some. Especially in that relationship because there were kids involved and there was long distance. And I mean, I was traveling down there constantly. I was treating his kids like they were my own. And I mean, I still would to this day. I love his children. But I mean, he had a really great woman loving him and giving him a lot. So yeah, he was going to take that and of course not want to let it go. So anytime stuff came up, I was never met with somebody who was nasty or mean to me. I was always met with more and more love because he wanted me to stay.
And what's interesting is that wasn't enough. Like, I know you, and as a female friend dynamic and as a like coach client dynamic, like that is who you are. And I'm similar. Like, it takes me a while to trust because of my childhood trauma and from trauma from a lot of the shit that we're talking about today. Right. But once someone's in with me, they're in and it's on lock. And I feel when someone can feel that, who has an ulterior motive or is unhealed, like you said, they can feel when like the lock is turned, that is when they start taking advantage.
100%. And on the opposite end, they also know when the lock goes the other way and you walk out that door, and they know when you're done. And that is when things start to shift. So they're not fools, right? They know exactly what to do and when to do it. And they also, I think, know when their time is up and when you have truly moved on. I mean, I think people like that love somebody who's vulnerable, right? They love somebody who's like a little weak, who's a little insecure in some area, who has a little bit of doubt. I think also as women, when we go into a new relationship, I don't know if you're the same way, but I'm the kind of person that like, I'll tell you the truth about all my whole past. So if I'm going into a relationship with somebody and I'm saying I had all these like terrible men before you, well, then all of a sudden it gives them the opportunity to put themselves in a pedestal, right? And they're like, oh, well, she put up with all this bullshit before, so I can just, maybe buy her flowers or do this one thing, open the car door, and all of a sudden I'm Prince Charming. So I think we have to hold our cards a little bit close, right? As women, as we get into new relationships, and maybe not share all of the details of what we've gone through in the past, because people who have those ulterior motives will use that information to their benefit.
You mentioned something that I got to say, I'm seeing your growth because you even just said this. When you said, they do target people that, have a weakness, that have some vulnerability. And that means you're saying that you did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Totally.
And this is not the brand of the champagne diet of you. Like how most people see you is like powerhouse, like I go first, like all of that. So what was that in you? What was the wound that you feel that these toxic guys could pick up on?
So the guy before the last, right? The guy, Alex, in the book, he was really.
Wait, is this bar owner? I have to be careful because I know the real name, so I don't want to fuck it up. Is this the
No,
bar owner?
No. Bar owner. Bar owner's
Alex.
Mateo was the bar owner.
I'm dead over the pseudonyms that you picked, by the way. I literally peed in the bathtub. I was dying. I was like, I could only picture you having the best time coming up with these names.
Oh my God, it was.
I was like, she's got me at Mateo. I'm dying. It's so good.
He was sweet, the poor little cocaine addict. I mean, he wasn't bad. He wasn't a bad guy. He was just fucking lost. Uh, I mean, listen, if I saw Mateo to this day, I'd probably like give him a hug. He's
a lost little addict, a lost little boy.
I love an addict. I really do.
I
think
know.
Some of the best people.
Too.
They're some of the best people in the world. They're just they have such big hearts. They feel a lot, right? And I think that's why I was drawn to him. The mean one, Alex, in the book. So he started off really nice, right? He gave me the boyfriend experience, right? He came into the picture. He was taking me on dates. He planned all the dates. He paid for everything. He slept over my house. He loaded my dishwasher. He put together my Dyson vacuum cleaner, right? He was...
We love a man chore. Like
we do love a man chore.
Like I am wet over this. I love a man chore.
Yeah, I definitely got wet when he put together that vacuum on the second date. But like he was newly divorced, so he was a husband, right? He was a husband trying to turn himself into a fuck boy. The problem was he wasn't. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. He was still too much in husband mode to become the fuckboy of his dreams, right? He really wanted to go out there and just do whatever he wanted and sleep with people. And he also was a raging alcoholic, so he got mean when he got drunk. But when he wasn't drunk, he was really sweet to me and he was doing all those amazing things, and then he would drink, and the alcoholism didn't really show up until a couple months in, and I was already attached to him. We already been sleeping together. He was at my house a couple times a week, but when he got drunk, he would prey on my insecurities, and he would make comments about my weight, and he would say things to me like, it's so weird. Like, I usually only date models, but like, I'm so attracted to you and you're just so sexy and so hot. But like, typically I just go for waifs. And I'd be like, what? My head would be spinning. I'm like, well, what do you like? And then he would like go having on the compliments. And I'm like, so do you like me or not? Like, and I got so broken down. And he did a lot of triangulation, with me and his ex-wife. And he would tell me stories about how much she hated me. And I'm like, how does she even know me? And it was a whole big mess.
This is the ex that showed up at one of your events.
Oh yeah, the ex-wife literally bought a fucking ticket and came to one of my women's empowerment panels and stood there and watched me from a corner for like a good hour.
This is a Lifetime movie.
Oh, fully. I was like, where's Andy? Like, call Bravo, because I am on the Real Housewives of the Lower East Side right now. It was wild.
Wow. When you had him, I call them like microaggressions. And I do feel, and I keep saying a few times so far, like this can happen in female relationships as well, and 100%. Friendships, because I was saying to her before we started recording, what kept coming up for me when I was, reading the book, it wasn't just that I could relate with like romantic, intimate relationships. I have had a lot of stuff happen with like female relationships of all kinds. Be fair to say the last like 2 years. maybe even more. Very painful shit. But that parallel, this stuff with mimicking some of the same patterns of doing that and those microaggressions, because when someone knows, either you've shared, right? You're open, you've
Oh,
shared some
he
of your
knew.
insecurities.
Totally. This didn't come out of left field. Like it would be the thing that I would say, the thing I would talk about. I mean, he wasn't stupid. He read my books. Like he followed me on social media. Like he knew the points that were pain points for me, the things that I felt like I had some insecurity around. And people like that will see it and use it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I remember this guy that he was like, he called himself like he was the fat kid. Like his mom took him to Weight Watchers in school. And he then, as an adult, was like super buff. He was controlling with his food. I didn't love that, because I like to eat. But I was like, okay, like he takes care of himself. I made excuses for it. But I still remember, and this was a long ass time ago, where he went to like move me like into a different position when we were in bed. And he went, oh, he's like, you're so heavy. Like little girls are so much easier. And I froze.
Oh, my, he
I
said this
literally
during
froze.
sex?
Yep. And I froze.
Holy shit.
And like those kinds of things. And really, it's a projection of his own insecurities because of his own body stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
like, you can say something like that to one person one time, and it can stick with you for like years. But
Oh my God. Yeah.
I do think it's not innocent. I do think they know what they're saying. Don't you?
100%. Like I remember one day I had these two coats. We were going to like a gallery opening or something, and I had two coats, and like we were so comfortable with each. This was like the fucked up part. Like he felt like a boyfriend. We spent every weekend together. He slept at my house, so we're getting ready. I just come out of the shower. I've gotten dressed. He's having a glass of wine in my living room, and I hold up these two jackets from my closet. One is like this oversized kind of trench coat, and one is this like faux fur. And I was like, which one? And he points to the fur. He's like, that one. He's like, you can't wear that one. That's for waifs. He loved the word waif. And I was like, okay.
First of all, who fucking uses that word?
I know. He was like Euro trash. So
I'm not into that.
me
And
neither.
how were you able to still keep seeing him with that tape playing?
There was a lot of alcohol and drinking involved in that relationship. I would drink in the beginning because it was fun and we were partying and going out and having cocktails. And then he was a big alcoholic, so I would drink more around him. And then I could drink to like escape all of the bullshit that I knew was wrong with it. And if I got myself buzzed enough, I didn't care. Like it would just slide off of me, right? And I didn't have to really face it. So I was escaping a lot.
Yeah. And do you think there was part of you that like subconsciously that wanted to almost win his acceptance back?
Totally. I mean, I say this to all my girlfriends because I've been there. I'm like, do you want him or do you just want to win?
I
And I
like
think with
that.
him, I wanted to win. There was really nothing that I was not in love with him. I mean, I would say I loved him sometimes, but it was more like he was cool. And I will give him this. Like, he was like my friend, like we were both in the same neighborhood in New York. Like, we both loved kind of the same things. We like to be social. We like to go to new restaurants. Like, he was divorced. I was divorced. So he was a cool person to hang out with. He brought me to cool places, and I was developing like this relationship with him, but it was not like in love. Like I wasn't like with my ex, like the newest, like the latest
Yeah.
one, I was like head over heels in love, like full on. This was different. So I definitely think I wanted to win. And I think that I wanted to just make something work because it would have been easier if it could have worked. I'm also jealous. I don't want like him sleeping with other girls and we're together. Like, no, like,
And at some point during all this, because you had like gone on dates, you've put yourself out there after being in a long marriage, how much did it come into play? Like, I want something to work.
yeah, I think he was always there, right? And other dates would fail. I would, travel, like I told the LA story, which I know you read about. And he was just always there. Now, in retrospect, like I thought that he liked me and he just couldn't face the facts that he was in love with me. This was the fucking story I told myself the whole time. No, I was an easy lay. I lived down the block from him. I would party with him, get drunk, and have sex. What guy wouldn't want that? And I let him go out and do whatever he was doing. Sure, I fought with him about it. I brought it up, but he could just block me out and then still ultimately do what he wanted.
If you went back and you kind of like whispered to that version of you, what point would you have left his ass?
Right when he said to me, I'm not into relationships. Because I wanted one at that point. I really did. And I thought, oh, okay. game on, right? You're not into relationships? Well, you're going to be into them with me because I'm the
I'm
best at them.
amazing.
I'm amazing. Like, I'm going to make it work. You're going to just, I used to say to him, I used to say to myself, rather, he just needs time. Like, give him freedom. He'll realize he doesn't even want it, right?
But
Like,
we've
just
been fed a lot of that advice
totally,
in
totally.
books from even like grandparents, right? Like, oh, you need to let him sell his oats or whatever. Like, I remember my grandma said something like that to me, and I was like, we've been given a lot of this crazy advice. And bottom line is, not only do people show you who they are, they actually tell you.
That he told me, listen, I give him credit. He told me everything. He was completely honest. He never led me on. I mean, his actions were a different story because his actions were very much like, I'm very interested in you. But I mean, this guy was like telling me that he was in love with his coworker. He would come to me and tell me about this girl that he was in love with, and I would like listen to it. And now I would never, like, if a guy that I was dating came to me and started talking to me about another woman he was interested in, I would immediately leave. Like, I don't even know who that girl was, to be honest. And it was not that long ago. And that's how quickly growth can happen. So I think, like, for anybody that is like seeing themselves in this story, it's not forever. I was doing a lot of the work in the background, even though I was still entertaining him. I didn't leave till I was ready to leave, but I am a completely different person 2 years out of that situation. Literally
Why do
almost
you
2 years to the day.
Why do you think we tolerate so much in any kind of relationship? Like I was just saying to someone this morning who I have hired on my team to help protect me from myself, by the way. And I said to her, I have a tendency to give people too much grace. Now, giving people grace is a lovely attribute, as I need to give myself grace. But I'll give too much to where it's excuses. Oh, maybe I'm being too particular. Maybe I'm being too Virgo-y. Maybe da 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 da. And then I experience so much pain and consequences. I'm talking, I can go on a long time with giving too much grace for people while I am living with the discomfort in it. You know what I love most about this conversation is the reminder that we don't have to keep settling. That choice is ours to make. And we're not going to settle anymore in relationships with our desires, and definitely not in our businesses. And if you've been playing it safe, playing it small, or saying yes to strategies that don't feel aligned anymore, I want you to hear this. I've officially opened my spring applications for my exclusive 2-month private business coaching program. This is for entrepreneurs who are done with breadcrumb level results and are ready to go all in. I only coach a maximum of 4 people at a time, and 2 of these are already claimed. Like I said, these are only open for a short period of time. They fill up really quickly. And here's what makes the experience with me different. We don't just talk about strategy, we implement fast. My clients usually start seeing money coming in very quickly because we're focused on bringing fresh cash into your business. Without having fresh cash coming into your business regularly, you don't have a business. You have a jobby, a time and energy sucking hobby. And we're not about that life here at Project Me. We make your content sell for you around the clock so you don't have to. We completely rework your offers so they speak to the emotional core of your dream clients and convert naturally without any manipulative tactics. And you get me, not an assistant, not a group, but direct private support for 2 full months with Coach Tiff. One of my clients recently texted me and said, after being burned by other coaches, I was nervous. But within 3 weeks, I made every dollar back. I finally felt seen and my content started converting like crazy. So if you know your business is kind of solid, but kind of not, and you're like, I don't know if I'm doing everything I can, and I must not be because I'm not getting the sales that I really want, and things seem flat, and I don't know what I don't know, but I know that this isn't working for me, and I'm willing to do what it takes, and I'm willing to go all in, and I'm willing to stop half-assing and toe dipping in my business in order to get full-ass results, then you know what you need to do, okay? You need to apply. Swipe up. The application is inside the show notes here. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description of Project Me TV. And please know this is the most exclusive way to work with me. I ain't cheap, okay? But I'm also not egregiously expensive. Know that this is definitely like well north of $10,000. So don't come in thinking this is some $700 thing or some $3,000 thing to work with someone at my level, that this is a tax deduction. You're getting high level business and growth strategy that is going to get you an ROI. Like, That's not the move. Please don't waste my time or other people's time by filling out the app and taking up a potential spot for somebody else. This is truly for people who want the holy grail, want the top tier way to work with me in order to get to your destination the fastest. Why do you think it is that so many of us women do this?
I think a lot of us are very compassionate. We're very empathetic. You know, what I used to say, and I still sometimes say this for friendships, like, well, nobody's perfect, or she's going through a really hard time, or, you know, am I being too hard on her? Like, I have fucked up before. I've been crazy before. I've done this, I've done that. But, you know, like you said, that's a beautiful quality. However, you need to be responsible for drawing the line in the sand when it crosses over into your piece. You know, so boundaries are a great example. I have friends and will call me all day long if I allow them to. You know, they'll text me all night. Even if I say I'm going to bed, I'll still wake up to, 45 text messages in the morning. I have learned to just pull back. They're not relationships I necessarily want to end, but I've learned to just pull back. It's okay to not answer a text. It's okay to not answer a phone call. It's okay to say no. I don't feel like going. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain yourself. That is part of it. And then also asking yourself, like, can I really be with myself? Can I really be alone? And this was a big learning curve for me because sure, I could at home at night with a bottle of wine, blasting fucking Taylor Swift.
Dissociated, you could.
Completely dissociated. But could I really be with myself fully awake, alert, with myself in a room with nothing but my thoughts? And honestly, this is the first time this year that I've really been able to do it. And it changes everything because
It's
now
really hard. And I'm
it's so
talking
hard.
no scrolling,
Nope.
no online shopping, no Netflix binging. I'm not saying not ever, but I'm
Right.
saying where it's like you're having to do that to fill the space. Very difficult for me as well.
It was so easy to run away from myself in whatever, right? Like you said, reality TV, eating, socializing, like just constantly moving. And it's interesting because I look back at some of my relationships, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, really the three big ones that I talk about in the book, those men, and I'm not like trying to point the finger or shift or whatever, but those men were runners. They were always on the move. None of them could sit alone in a room with themselves, none of them. And it's
In
interesting.
fact, the last one was using women to escape being with himself as one of his vices or whatever you want to call it,
And he
right?
still is. And he still is. And this is why I say to women, like, I do believe people can change. And this is something I struggled with him because I do believe he wanted to. I think he still does. I know he's not in the position where he actually is. So you need to believe actions, not words, when somebody says that they want to grow and evolve. Because I really do think people can, but I think it is so hard for it to happen. I mean, think about the work that like women like you and me and anyone listening right now who is really devoted to personal growth. It's like a fucking full-time job to try to evolve.
It is a full-time job.
We make our livings off
I
of it,
have
right?
like a full support team
It's a full-time job.
managing
No,
myself.
yeah, and we've been in this world for like over a decade, right? Like, so think about the average person who's maybe just learning to become more self-aware. Maybe they've went to a few therapy sessions. What does that road look like for them? It is going to be really long and it's going to be hard. So yeah, he was for sure looking at other women. That was his drug of choice along with drinking. And he admitted it to me. He literally said to me, like, I have to work on this. This is a problem for me. I fall back into this pattern. This is how I've been my whole life. I mean, he was like that in his marriage. He cheated on his ex-wife. So if somebody can do that in a long-term committed relationship with children, why did I think it was going to be any different with me? Not that he cheated that I know of, but there was a lot of gray area.
I mean, I could see where we justify it like, well, people do change and maybe he's learned his lesson because he lost his marriage and that relationship. So now he's not going to do it again. And I think anyone listening has said these things. I've said all of these things.
This is what was interesting about our relationship. We had these like periods of time where things were really good between us. And I really don't think he was doing it during those times. Like, I actually don't. Like, when we hit rough patches, he went back and looked for attention from other women, admittedly. Like, I mean, I've seen the screenshots. He showed me his phone. I saw it. We had a whole thing. And I was like, okay, so now what you're telling me is that I can never express what I need from you. And I can never bring up something uncomfortable in the relationship, because if I do, that means you're going to go look for another woman to get attention from. You're not able to deal with the hard conversations. So it can't be that you're, quote, good and loyal to me only when things are good between us, because that's not real life.
Yeah. And when you first started getting those DMs, and this is, you're in a love bubble. I mean, this was someone you were like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person.
I mean, I was making plans to move to a different state to live with him and his children. Like,
And
I
you
was
were
in
like
deep.
doing carpool, like
Yeah.
you were
Well,
in it.
school pickups. I was the school pickup line. I was doing it all. I was all in. I was all in. And like I said to you earlier, that's something I will never change about myself, but I will move slower, I think. I mean, I have like, his initial tattoo to my wrist. Like, we were really all in, and he was just as all in. But yeah, I was in the love bubble when those DMs came. And
Did all the blood escape from your body? Or did you go, no, these are just some crazy bitches?
no, I freaked out. Like, I freaked out. I mean, I was trembling, like shaking. And it didn't just happen once.
Like
If you
there
read the
were
book,
no
you'll hear.
signs where you're like, as much as I like want to say I'm shocked, I'm really not. It was a true shock.
It was a true shock. Like, this person presented themselves to me as like, the most loyal, incredible father, boyfriend, all the things, this wonderful man. And like, listen, there were many parts of him that were great. I wasn't in love with somebody, who wasn't a complete asshole. Like, there were great qualities to him. That's all that I saw, because it was new. We were a few months in. And then all of a sudden I get this message, and I'm like, what do you do with that? I was miles away from home. I was in his house when it happened. I was just beside myself, and I was so desperate to believe it wasn't true. But I knew in my gut, like I knew it was true, but I chose to believe him anyway.
Yeah. Because if you didn't believe him, what would that have meant to you? That it would have had to be over.
It would have had to be over, and I wasn't ready for it to be over.
Yeah. And then the shame, I'm guessing, or you tell me what emotion, when you are someone who is also known and seen, right, as like, stand up for yourself as a woman and like, own your power, and like that's who you are. And that is true. And then you get into like matters of the heart with like all that complexity and all the layers of trauma. And now you find yourself continually going back to someone that's doing this. What came up for you during those like moments of stillness?
It was so tough. And I also should say this just to the audience who doesn't know, I'm obviously very public, right? My whole brand is online, and so is he. So
I didn't know this. That's not in the book that he's public.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's very
like
public.
As public as you.
No, he hasn't written 10 books in 10 languages and sold over 300,000 copies worldwide. However,
it has 10 million podcast downloads.
11 million. No, he's definitely not as public as I am, but he has like a hardcore following on TikTok. He's got, almost 400,000 followers who are all women, of course.
Feeding his supply.
Right.
Wow.
1000%. Admittedly, he has admittedly said that to me. Yeah.
Please don't tell me he's a relationship coach, because I'll literally die.
Oh no.
Okay.
I don't want to say. I know you. Maintain his privacy somewhat, but definitely not a relationship coach.
Okay. Good.
I think I would pass out, but who knows? Maybe he'll reinvent himself. And no, but yeah. So he has a big following. So he's public. I'm public. So we went public with the relationship. I had him on my podcast. Right? It was everywhere. I had women, Tiff, writing heartfelt messages to me saying, because of your relationship, I believe in love again. You guys are the example. Can you write a book together? You should do a course together. Like, everybody was so happy for me because they saw what I had gone through. So here I am with this information. I have women coming out of the woodwork, and it wasn't just one message. It was, honestly, probably like 6 or 7 different women that came to me at that point. And I was like, okay, it can't just be everybody. Like, it's gotta be him. It can't just be that everyone's crazy. Like, the first one, I was like, okay, maybe somebody's like bitter or
right. Cause
angry.
he's public. So it could have been, that is possible. I could see.
And they all said to me, they all had the same message. They were like, I had whatever with him, and he hid me. He would never commit to me. He never talked about me. We're in public. And then all of a sudden he met you, and he was so proud of you, and everywhere, and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, maybe there's like a little bit of like, I don't know, resentment or bitterness, which I would understand. I'd probably feel the same way. Like, I had nothing against these girls, right? But I was like, do I believe them, or do I believe his side of the story? Like, what should I believe? So then I wound up believing him after, it was probably like 6 weeks of this that had gone on behind the scenes of me finding all this out while I'm very much with him still publicly. I wind up leaving and I had to say something because I can't just leave people hanging. So I didn't say a lot. I left it very vague. I was like, his inappropriate behavior with women was a reason for me to walk away. And I was all in my power. And then when we got back together, I kept it all private. For the whole half of 2024, I kept it to myself for two reasons. One, I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was like, well, if I announce that we're back together and then we break up again, I'm going to look like an idiot. And two, like, I was kind of embarrassed. I was like, should I be giving this man a chance? Like, I still didn't know in my heart. So I wasn't going to broadcast it everywhere and be like, let everybody else weigh in on it, because I was really navigating it internally for a long time.
And there was still, I'm guessing, the tickling inside of you going, Cara, what are you doing? What was that voice saying to you that I know you've shared, like, that you drowned out with drinking and distractions? Like, in those moments where you weren't distracted, what was that little voice saying?
There was always this feeling of, you can't trust this man. Like, you should not, he's lying to you. And he knew, obviously, that I felt that way. So he did all the things, like he shared his location with me. He gave me the passcode to his phone. But even with that, we live in different states, right? Like, he could do anything to like mask this feeling of like security for me. My gut was like screaming to me, like, this is not right. Like, he's still lying. There's still more that you don't know. It's not enough. It's just not enough. And even with like, this is something that I will definitely do differently in my next relationship. I put him in receiving mode, right? And this is like something with like masculine, feminine energy. I put him in the feminine energy mode because I was giving. I was flying to him. I was, paying for a lot of things.
You were doing more of the actual like heavy lifting, you feel?
Yes. All of it. And I would say to myself, again, making excuses. Well, he's tied to a 9 to 5. So
he has
really
kids.
Can't travel. He's got kids. Can't help the salary he makes. It's the industry he's in. I make more. If I want to go out on the weekend, I don't mind. I'm so abundant. I don't mind paying for this. But then all of a sudden, like, I was in the position where I was like doing everything to keep this relationship together. And he was just living his life, like just like he's living it today without
he's starfishing. That's what we're calling it. He's just starfishing.
Completely.
Wow. And do you feel that there's part of him that wanted it to be public with you also because there was some part of him getting like clout from you?
I mean, possibly. I mean, that's what every single person in my life told me.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like you said to me, the common theme is you do feel that it's like I was sharing with you in my experience that I was been having with female relationships of all different kinds, of someone seeming like they're a cheerleader and a supporter, but really secretly resentful of what you have and wanting what you have, and then like vacillating between being impressed with what you have to being like seethingly like jealous and pissed that they don't have it. And it's like, I kind of feel like there's some of that here.
I think that I was a portal to a very different life than the life he was living, right? I lived in New York. He wanted to live in New York. I'm a writer. He wanted to be a writer, right? So I had the kind of life that he admired, and he told me this, right? So I'm not assuming, this is what he said to me. And I think that I was a path for him to live very differently. And if things worked out with me, his life would look a lot better. Let's be honest. So yeah, who knows, right? Who knows?
And figuring it out is all of my therapists I've had love to remind me, because I like to figure it out. Figuring it out, it doesn't lead to healing. It's nice information. Knowing why someone has done something, it's helpful, but that's really focusing on them and not, focusing on yourself. So as a result of all of this pain and this chaos, that's when seems like, at least what I've understood from the book and what you told me, is like you've found yourself.
Oh, completely. And it was really hard and it took a lot of tries. So I will say, for anybody that's listening, that's like, I want to leave, or I left and now I'm back with him and I keep going back. Why can't I stay away? Like, keep going, keep trying, keep just uncovering something new about yourself. Every time I went back to him, I found another reason to leave, but I also found another reason to choose myself. And I found another reason to continuously like set a new boundary or set a new standard. and I was literally like fighting for myself through every breakup. I didn't let anything slide. And that's probably why we broke up so many times, or we would have just been together. It would have been so easy for me to ignore those DMs, block all those people, and just move on and ignore it. But I really was fighting for myself in that relationship. And this is an interesting thing that I noticed. In the end, I noticed I kept saying the same thing to him. I was like, I gave so much to you. I gave more than I even had. Like I was so in, I was so committed. And I started reading the emails back because I'm such an email girl. Like I don't like a text. I like an email.
I love it.
I like to put it all in writing because I'm a writer. So I would read the emails back and I'd be like, Cara, are you giving any of that to yourself? Are you committed to yourself? Are you giving all and then some to you, to your health, to your peace, to any of it? And the answer was no. And that's when it really hit me. Like I will never forget. I don't want to give away too much of the book, so I'm not going to say when this happened, but I will say there was a night I called him. Now we would break up and we would say to each other, like, I'll always pick up the phone when you call. Like no matter what, I'll always pick up the phone. And we did. We would break up and call each other and pick up the phone. And I remember one night after I found these messages from like all these other women and, very much doing it while we were together at this point. And this was like the end of last year. And he called me a few weeks later. I had left and I ended it. And he called me drunk and crying. And I met him with so much love and compassion on that phone call. And he was like, I shouldn't have called you. And I later found out he had gone on a date and called me and was like, I miss you. We were broken up, but he's like, I miss you. And I just fucked up and blah, blah, blah. And I was so loving to him, Tiff, like beyond. Hung up the phone. He texted me. He's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. You can always call me. And then time passes, things happen. We're broken up again. And I called him one night. And I was just desperate. I was crying. I was like, I miss my best friend. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I know we shouldn't be together, but I just miss you. And he said to me, you can call me anytime you want, but I will not have a punitive conversation with you. I need to focus on my self-regulation. Oh, no, sorry. He said, I have to focus on my self-preservation. You need to learn how to regulate your emotions.
That's the moment I would have been done.
I sobbed. So he went off on me. The phone conversation was 25 minutes. I remember looking at my phone thinking, what did he even say? It was such a blur. And he just kept saying, I'm in therapy and I know how to handle myself. You need to learn how to regulate your emotions. And I'm like, if this isn't the definition of gaslighting, I don't know what is.
Exactly.
I'm regulating my emotions. You lied to me. You betrayed me. You disrespected me. And now I'm coming to you upset over it. And you're dismissing me.
Making you out to be the crazy woman.
Yep.
Wow.
And that was the last time we ever spoke.
And you are also now not drinking, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what made you make a decision that strong? I mean, your brand is the champagne diet, right?
I know. Well, so I have been a drinker for, oh my God, I mean, as long as I can remember, like in my 20s.
But like, I never picked up that you like drank like to where it was like, oh, she has problems.
No, I didn't for a long time. And then 2023, well, I should say 2022 also. I mean, really post-divorce, right? I think the pandemic put us all over the edge a little bit. I definitely drank more than I was comfortable with. That's when I was like, okay with drinking at like 2:00 in the afternoon because everybody's home and time didn't mean anything. It was more like fun boredom drinking at that point. 2023 was when I was drinking a lot with the guy in the book that I named Alex, the one that I said was the alcoholic.
I'm still dying over you picking these names.
It was wild. It was crazy. And that was, yeah. And that was a year when I first started to feel uncomfortable with my own drinking. And I was like, this isn't great. But I thought it was just because I was like trying to hang with him and keep up. I didn't really even think it was like about me at that point. I was like, whatever, I'll get over it. And then 2024, drank a lot with my ex, the one that I've been talking about this whole time. And we drank a lot together. And, it wasn't like he was pushing it on me. And we never drank and got like wasted. That was the different thing. Like it was the other guy is like, we were on benders up all night. This was different. We would just like drink in the house. And I would notice every time we broke up and I was back in New York, I was drinking to like numb and escape the reality of what was going on.
Like by yourself?
By myself, completely. I mean, 4:00, like right now it's 4:14. I would have absolutely had a glass of wine out, and then drank until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And like, I would find that when I wasn't, because I would try these little breaks, like I would come back to New York and be like, I'm not going to drink. And I wouldn't. And I would feel really strong with my decision to like move on. And then I would start drinking again. And let's face it, drinking's a depressant, right? So I would get like nostalgic and I'd get a little weepy and I'd suddenly put on Taylor Swift and I'd be looking at pictures of us and then I'm calling him or texting him. And it really like lowered my resilience. And again, it was just this on again, off again cycle. And my drinking was so like bad. It was like I wasn't getting blackout drunk, but I was drinking to where I didn't have a clear lens of what happened in the relationship, right? I was like,
it's understandable. You're numbing pain.
I was numbing pain. And then what was happening was because I was drinking every single day, I mean, like it was every night. There was never like a day off, right? I had this like almost like wine soaked view of the relationship. It was not clear. I wasn't sharp. I wasn't sleeping right. Because when you drink, even if you have 2 glasses of wine at night, you're not sleeping the way you would if you're sober, right? So I'm drinking. I have a fucked up view of the relationship. I'm depressed. I'm nostalgic. And I'm not able to move on. So I had to tell myself, like, you've got to do something different this time around because what you have done so far has not worked. What is the fucking elephant in the room? It's the alcohol. And had a casual relationship with drinking for, the past, like, let's say 10 years, 15 years. But I would take breaks and I would always take a break thinking like, I'm going to go back to it. I'm just going to take like a month off, give my body a break. Like I want to lose 10 pounds. This was different. This was like, no, you actually have to like save yourself because you're making really bad decisions and they're all related to drinking.
And how are you feeling now that you're not drinking and you've strung some time together?
Oh my God, I feel amazing. I feel like a different person. I feel at peace. I feel like my nervous system is resetting, sleeping so well. I'm able to feel my feelings, but like move through them quicker. So today, for example, today was like a day I was like kind of down. I was like a little bit sad, kind of like a little nostalgic, but I'm able to feel that way and then move through it without this like whole fucking destructive thing that comes along with feeling sad, right? I didn't spiral. I don't spiral anymore. I feel it. I cry for 5 minutes and I move on. But most of the time I have really good days. There's really no more of that like sadness. That was this lingering feeling of sadness. And on top of it, I had gained weight. I gained 22 pounds in that relationship.
Wow.
So if you didn't see me a lot on social media, there's a fucking reason
you're
for
right.
it.
I noticed that you weren't on that much.
I was super insecure. I gained so much weight. My face was so puffy.
Which also messes with our heads when we're not feeling good about ourselves.
Completely. I
like,
felt
who else will want me?
Yes,
yeah.
Totally. And it wasn't just like, oh, I've got a couple pounds. I mean, like my curves are kicking. It was like, no, like you look inflamed, you look unhealthy, you look bloated. Like that was all of the feeling I had. So I wasn't showing up for my business, which is to me a huge red flag that something's wrong because I will always show up for my business. So there was just all of these things. And now I just feel great and it's very new. So, I'm trying to give myself 6 months, like completely off. I don't know. Like I hate to, well, I shouldn't say this. I don't want to say I'll never drink again, but if I ever have like a glass again down the line, I don't want to, burn myself at the stake. But like, I really don't have an interest in it anymore. And I think what I noticed what was happening for me is like when I would drink, the fun was no longer there. Like I didn't feel good when I took a sip of wine anymore. I felt like it instantly dulled me. It was like this instant feeling of like, this is like taking from me. It's not giving anything to me. It's stealing like my sparkle. It's stealing my effervescence, right? That's a champagne reference, but it's taking it away from me. And I felt like I was getting dumb. I felt like I was just like forgetful. Like I was, and even like in the relationship, I would drink and then I'd like pick a fight with him over something or he'd fight with me or whatever. And I would wake up and read my text and I was like, God, this is so bad. Like this is so unhinged. I'm so bitchy. I'm so nasty. It's just ugly. Like, why are we even going there? Like, why? Like I would forget like, oh my God, did we have a fight? I'd look at my phone and be like, fuck, I called him. Like, so I don't know. I just don't want to be that person anymore.
I think that it's so important for people listening to take a look at what are you doing to distract from being with yourself? You don't have to, you could say, well, I don't drink. I'm not, like we said, it's not just drinking. Okay. Like that's not my thing. I literally am in a recovery program for exercise addiction and workaholism. Okay. Like you can use people, places, things, and substances to avoid being still with yourself and feeling the feelings and going through them. And that's where we get our power back because now you don't have that needy energy for anyone else to be a certain way, or even your bank account to be a certain way, or your social media to be a certain way, or your book sales to be a certain way, to know that like you're okay. And like What are you using? And what are you trying to avoid in that stillness, in that silence? I mean, I need to answer it for myself because you are so vulnerable. I think it's because I am always in my head anyway. I'm like that overthinker, overanalyzer. And sometimes by the end of the day, I don't want to be in my head anymore. I want to escape. You know,
Hmm.
I don't want to be there. I noticed even I would go to like on a walk, but I couldn't just go on the damn walk. I had to be listening to a podcast. I had to be texting someone. I had to be voice texting someone. Like I had to be shooting content. That is not being present.
No.
And what do you think that you were avoiding in that case?
So I use this analogy to my therapist with my therapist a couple years back when I first started to notice that I didn't like the drinking patterns. This is before I was still married at the time. So it's very different, but I have a lot of addiction in my family. So my father's an addict, so I've been very aware from a young age about addiction, substance abuse. And I remember telling my therapist one day, I drink at night because I want to lower the volume on my brain. And that's probably how you're feeling, right? I
A
have
thousand
so many
percent.
thoughts.
I
Yeah,
just
like
use
my
something else.
right. My brain moves so fast. I'm always thinking, working, planning, plotting. And I was like, oh God, wine is so nice because it just lowers the volume. It's like, okay, like the day is done, you know? So for me, that was definitely it, you know? And when it came to the relationship, I could lower the volume on the noise that said, he's wrong for you. This is not good. Get out. You deserve more. It was like, okay, shut up. Let's just fucking drown that out with a bottle of Pinot Noir and everything's great. And you don't have to make any real changes and everything can just stay where it is. I mean, I have not gotten to the other side yet where I'm in a new relationship that feels good. And that I don't even want to go there because I'm definitely taking a break from all of it. But it'll be interesting to see who I am sober, truly not drinking in a new relationship. And it's
We
funny.
don't need to go there yet.
We don't need to go there yet, but I will tell you something, right? There's like a person, a friend, right? Who I'm seeing in a few weeks. And it's like it's not romantic officially, but it's an friend and interest. And I actually don't want to drink around him because I want him to see the best in me and the best version of me. And that's the version of me who's not drinking. And that's so new because a date for me would be the perfect excuse to fucking get lit. Like we'd be drinking before the date when we're doing our makeup, then drinking on the date, then lit. And I'm like, oh, this is new. Like I actually value and prefer myself without alcohol.
Because that's your true self.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an altered self.
Exactly.
And how do you turn the volume down? Because your wild creative mind that like it makes you who you are is still ping ponging, right? Like that's part of who you are. How
Mm-hmm.
do you turn the volume down now when it's too high?
So I've created a new routine for myself at night. And this was like the main thing that got me through because for me, the witching hour would be like 4 to 7 or 4 to 8. That's when I would go for the alcohol, right? Because I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, drunk or not, right? Like whether I'm hungover or not hungover, I'm up and working. So I created a ritual and I got this drink called Super Calm. Have you heard of that?
I think so. It has like
It's
magnesium in it or something.
ashwagandha, whatever the fuck that is. Magnesium
I'm dead. This
and
conversation is so good.
the ashwagandha diet coming soon.
Exactly.
But that's what I drink at night. And it's like this pink, it's like a supplement basically. It's a little powdery drink. It's not a sleep aid or anything like that. I was doing that for a while and I stopped. I was like into the Z quills. I'm like, no, I don't want anything. Like I want to be clear headed, right? At night, like I light my candles, I've got a whole ritual. I make myself dinner, and then I go take a bath, then I pour this like magnesium mocktail. And then I started doing some breath work. Like I am not a meditation girly at all, but I do the 4-7-8 technique. I'm sure you know what that
The
is.
box, yeah, it really works. I do it when I get
Yeah.
night terrors. It
Yeah.
genuinely works.
Yeah, it works. So I just do a little bit of that. I have like a special perfume that I spray on myself with when I put my pajamas on after my bath that signals it's bedtime. I go in my room and listen, I do watch Bravo at night before bed because I can't, I haven't gotten to the point where I'm like, namaste, like laying in the fucking dark. I still need a little something to kind of like, shift gears, but I really try to just stay off my phone. So like by 8 o'clock, 8:15, I'm in my room. And that's when like the phone is away and I'm kind of like watching TV. I'm just sort of like recapping the day in my mind. And I don't know. That's it. I go to sleep. I sleep like 8 hours a night. I sleep like a fucking baby. And it's just everything is different. And it's like in the best way possible.
I love that. Like create a new intentional routine that's like allows you to be with yourself.
Yes.
I think
That
that's what
encourages
that
it.
sound. Yeah, it encourages it. Like, and there's no one better at romanticizing things than you. Even like romanticize it. Like I'm because I have a visual of you. Like I guarantee you guys this mocktail is in like
A
some
wine
kind of
glass. Of
exactly.
course it is.
It's in like some elaborate glass. The bath is like bathing. There's like all sorts of oils and shit in
Oh,
it.
I buy like a $20 bag of magnesium flakes like twice a week, fucking pouring that shit in. It's like bubbles everywhere. I mean, I am a passionate girl. So if I'm doing something, I'm doing it all the way.
And you're pouring it into yourself just as
Hmm.
you've poured it into other people. You
Yeah.
guys have to read this book. I don't have to say this, okay? Like, you guys know I don't just say anything. I'm telling you, go into the show notes. It's don't do anything I would do. It's on Amazon. It's like one of those reads that you're going to pick it up and you can't put it down. And it's,
Everyone's binging it.
and like, I think it's your most bingeable book, don't you think?
Thank you. I think so. Thank you. I mean, I've read it like a million times because obviously editing, you have to keep reading it and it moves very quickly. My best friend told me that it's what does she say? She goes, "I love your book. It's perfect for my ADHD brain. It scratches the itch."
I
She's
agree
like,
with that. It's like because our attention spans have gotten so short, and so it left you wanting more at each chapter. Like I wanted more, but you're like, sorry, bitch, the chapter's closed. And
well,
then
I wrote it like so. My big dream, if anyone's listening, God, are you there? Are you there, God? It's me, Cara. I want this to become like a Netflix series or like some kind of streaming series, right? So I knew that in the beginning, so I wrote it with that in mind. They're almost like episodic, and that was kind of like the vision for the book. So hopefully that translates on the page. I think it does.
I mean, listen, one of the things you got out of some of these motherfuckers is this. So thank you. Shout out to all you all.
Shout out! Listen, if you can't monetize your heartbreaks, what are you doing with your life?
I mean, it is like very Taylor Swift of you, really.
I had a friend say she's like you're the Taylor Swift of the writing world of books. I was like, oh my God, okay, I'll take the
So
billions and the hot football player.
boys beware, okay? Well, I love you. Thank you
I
for
love you.
sharing.
This
Like,
was so fun.
I'm so honored to be your first interview and for you sharing, the stuff that isn't necessarily like flattering because that's the stuff that really helps people. And I can see your growth is so obvious to me
Thank you.
to where I'm like, okay, I see what's going on here. I feel it because I started my journey in this area like quite a few years before you because I was not married, right? So my whole experience was escalated at an earlier age. And so I'm in a different like space with it. So I can really see it. And I couldn't be like more proud and happy for you.
Aw, thank you. I love you.
Love you.